When and when not to share your messy truth. I remember when I had my spiritual awakening back in July 2021, and I just wanted to share truth with everybody all at once, like all my deepest, darkest secrets, everything that I've been hanging on to for so long. I just wanted to share it with everybody. And there was a problem with that because I hadn't yet integrated my learnings. I hadn't yet integrated this new part of me that was able to share. So it's not that I hadn't yet learnt the lessons, but I hadn't yet evolved to that level which I thought I had once I had my spiritual awakening. And so I'm going to give you some really definitive points about when to share your messy truth and when not to share your messy truth. And so, if you've ever felt that being authentic and wanting to be vulnerable was something you wanted to do, but you also wanted to hold it together as well, and you didn't know which way to go, by the end of this, you're going to know exactly how to know as to when to share your messy truth. And so many spiritual teachers and many teachers and many coaches, they bypass the truth. In other words, they tell you what they think you want to hear so that they can look good. That is not what we want either. We don't want that. We don't want a curated, polished version where people like us just because we're saying the things that make them feel comfortable. It's in the discomfort that growth actually happens. And so, if you're going through a messy time and you want to talk about it, you can say, "This hurts. I'm in this time at this moment, and this hurts. And I'm trusting that there's going to be growth at the end of it, but I still don't have the lessons for that. And I will be sharing that when those lessons come." That's absolutely fine to do that because you're speaking your truth. But that kind of truth, that raw human truth, is what people want. It's what people relate to. It's not the polished words, it's the feelings. But why is it? Why is it so hard to say what we are really going through? Why is it so hard to speak about our challenges? It's because our nervous system is registering truth as danger. And there are many reasons for that. It could be that when you were a child, if you spoke the truth, you would get in trouble. It could be that you were never invited to speak the truth. It could be that you had a past life where you spoke the truth and then you were burnt on the stake. It could be that you had a past life where you were unable to protect your family. You spoke the truth and then they suffered. And these are deep soul wounds that you've been carrying through to this lifetime. And so it's no wonder that it's so hard to speak truth. But we must speak truth because this is how we make it okay for others to speak truth when we also speak truth. And that means speaking without people pleasing, speaking without wanting external validation, speaking without a hidden agenda of wanting to convert into sales, speaking truth because you just want to share, not because you're going to get more likes, not because you're going to get more engagement, not because people are going to tell you, "Oh my God, you're so fantastic," and not even because people are going to say, "You changed my life." Because I know that for a very, very long time, that was something that I used to be dependent on. When people would text message me and send me messages and emails and say, "Oh my God, what you said the other day has changed my life. It really, really helped me." I used to love that, but I used to also feed on that. So speaking truth is nothing but this genuine want to share from our heart and to make it okay for other people to share from their heart. Because the more we speak truth, the more our light, which is inside every single one of us, no matter what you've done, no matter what you thought, no matter what you believed, every single person has this light. It gets brighter and brighter and brighter. And the brighter that our light gets whilst we're speaking truth, not whilst we are adhering to the ego, the more powerful we are. That's when we can really step into our power, because we are speaking from that place of light, not so that the ego can feel good, but so that we're actually really giving the soul the opportunity to shine. So, when does sharing truth not serve you? When does silence serve you? So, I mentioned earlier on that when I had my spiritual awakening, I wanted to share everything with everybody. But there was also a part of me that was still fearful. Like, what actually happened at that stage was I opened a brand new YouTube channel and I didn't invite anybody onto that channel that knew me already. So, nobody from my past world, so that I could just be honest and say whatever I wanted and talk about all these spiritual things without people thinking I was a nutcase and without people thinking I was a weirdo. And then I realized that that's not truth. If you're not ready to be seen, then don't say it. I think that's a really good one. If you're not ready to be seen, then don't say it. You're not ready to say it. You're ready to be seen, no matter who sees it, no matter what people think of you, because this is your truth, then that's when you need to say it. And so, when does silence serve you? When is it better if you just wait a bit? So, in my case, when I started the shame game straight after my spiritual awakening, and I shared in that very first episode my deepest, darkest secret, but I didn't promote it to anybody, and I was secretly hoping that nobody saw it. That was still me not being integrated. And so when people talk about integration, that's what it is. It's like it's one thing to know something, but it's another thing entirely to actually have the ability in your body to hold that truth. At the time, I didn't have the ability in my body for other people to see my deepest, darkest secret, even though I did a podcast episode on it. And that's why I didn't promote it. And that's why I didn't want anybody to see it, because I wasn't ready for it yet. So it would have been far smarter to start sharing little things that I haven't shared before and build them up to a point where my nervous system can actually hold it. So, another example where I wasn't ready was when my father was in palliative care and I had to do a presentation to my American colleagues at their conference. And I did the presentation online. And every two sentences, I was choking up in tears. I couldn't hold it together. So my system was not in a place to deliver a presentation. I was not able to hold it together. And so if it's too raw, if it's too hot, if from 0 to 10, where 10 is you're fully integrated and 0 is you're really shaking with nervousness, and you're in that early stage, then don't do it. Let it go. But what you can do in the meantime is make sure that you don't say any untruths, no untruths. That is my absolute promise to myself. I may not be ready to share every single little thing about myself, but I will not say an untruth, no matter how tiny, no matter how big. So, for example, when people say to me, "So, how did you and Christian meet?" Christian's my fiance. I don't lie and make up a story. I just say, um, I only share that story with my closest friends. And that's it. I don't need to justify. I don't need to say anything else. I don't need to explain. All I say is, I only share that story with my closest friends. And that way, I am in full integrity. There is no lies. I've put a boundary between what I want to share and what I don't want to share. And they know the truth. They know that when they hear me, I say the truth. I don't make up something that sounds good that would then make them feel happy and me feel guilty for saying something that's not true. Okay. Because any untruths and any lies come directly from the ego. It's only the ego that is so scared and so concerned about being judged. The soul's not concerned about being judged. The soul is the soul. It doesn't have this position that it needs to be seen a certain way because the soul knows that it's in the light. The soul knows that it's radiating light. It doesn't need another being to say, "Oh, okay, yeah, you're a good person," in order to feel good about itself. And so when you are in the middle of something, should you share it or should you not share it? Because when I first started my business back in 2010, I used to teach my practitioners not to share anything until they were on the other side, until they had their learnings, not to go in there and go, "Oh, woe is me," and this and this and this and this, until they've got to the other side, they've had their learnings, and then they can teach people their insights. So I don't really hold that view anymore. I believe that if you really, really want to share something, share it, but just be really honest about where you are at in the process. Like I said before, you might say, "I'm in this process at the moment. It really, really hurts, but I know that I'm going to learn a lesson from this. I don't know what the lesson is yet, but I know I will." Because even that is a teaching moment because people can see your journey and they can feel your journey and they know that you believe that no matter what you're going through, that there is a lesson at the end of it, because there is, absolutely is, with every single thing that we go through, every single thing that we go through. And so there's nothing wrong with sharing the messiness in the middle. You don't have to have popped out on the other side or curated and polished before you share a story. It's absolutely fine to share it in the middle. Just check on your nervous system, make sure that your body can absolutely hold that truth and is okay with it. And I'm not saying not to have any fear at all in your body. When you're sharing something that's uncomfortable for the first time, you will still have a feeling of, "Oh, I'm worried, I'm concerned about sharing this." That's okay, do it. What I'm saying is if you're literally vomiting and can't hold yourself together, then that's not the time to share it. And a reminder that living in truth and being in truth does not mean you have to share every part of your life. That transparency is not a moral obligation. But what I do want to say is don't share anything at all rather than saying an untruth, rather than saying a lie. Because the moment that you say that lie, the moment that you say that untruth, you're actually dimming your light. You're actually putting the ego in the driver's seat. And your evolution, your spiritual evolution, is halting. So, better off not saying anything rather than saying an untruth. And get used to saying the things that make you uncomfortable. And start off with saying those things to your partner. Is there a fine that you got that you're ashamed to tell your partner about? Tell them. Is there a story in your past that you haven't told your partner about? Tell them. Is there something you haven't told your best friend? Tell them. And start to build on that circle of trust so that that circle of trust becomes bigger and bigger and bigger until we get to that point where we can share our truth unapologetically. It's a very hard word to say, unapologetically. So we can share our truth unapologetically, because when we do that, then we are showing people who we really are. And then, and especially if you are a teacher, a leader, a light worker, only then can your people see you. Your people can't see you if you're not saying the truth. It's only when you're shining your light that your peeps can see you and they can see that light. And it's through your example of sharing your truth that they can then share their truth. So I'm not saying that we don't need to be rattled. Sometimes we do. We need to get out there and be rattled and hold it, that it's okay to share this. This is my truth, and it's time to share whatever it is that I need to share. So, if this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe. I love to talk on any topic. I will answer every single comment that comes onto my YouTube or my Instagram, and any topics at all that you want me to speak about. Just remember this: always, always, always live in truth. You don't always have to share your truth, but make it a goal. Make it a goal that you share your truth more and more and more. What are the topics? What are the issues? What are the things that you only share with certain people in your life? Because as a leader, as someone who wants to lead people into the truth, what do you need to do? You need to share your truth. You need to show that you're not perfect. You need to show your vulnerabilities. You need to show that you haven't got it all figured out, that none of us have, that we're all figuring everything out one challenge at a time, one shit show at a time, and that we all have emotions. And these emotions need to be respected and seen and honored. And we just keep going anyway, because that's what it's all about. So always live in truth. Please provide any comments below. Share it with someone who needs to see this message. Sending you so much love.